We already are these real beings of light. We must acknowledge that we are. Stand in our real awareness, which is the real you, which is this isness, and then learn to recognize the true isness reality that our real awareness, the real you, is a part of now. The point at when we are ready to really adamantly stand real with this true reality depends on when we decide to stop struggling with the personal self. For the only person holding us back from the actualization of who we really are is ourselves. Everything and all life is awareness, and as our awareness seeks to recognize the it is a part of, the necessity to create a personal vehicle in a simulator becomes so that the awareness that we are can recognize itself, and the it is a part of, by the objective view and comparisons that being in a position in life that is simulated and not this true reality can provide. The awareness that we are is separated into two parts: the real you, the real awareness, and the personal awareness. And over lifetimes, the personal awareness becomes lost in the density of its creation. It becomes unable to maintain its connection to the real awareness, because the real awareness simply can't get through the layers and the cocoon of limited decision and focus that the personal awareness has placed itself in. The struggle then is with the self always. As awareness of the real you and the becomes known, so it becomes a tug of war between the personal awareness wishing to cling on to the comfort zone it has created for itself, and the real awareness that wishes to recognize the which was the entire point of creating the personal self in the first place. The objective is to get all 5 vehicles of the personal self on board and aligned with the real intent, that of the recognition of the true reality. And so, the personal self-awareness will work with the real awareness, and the conflict can end. As Rebazar said, the personal self is our own problem, and the problem or the struggle that it represents can end when we decide to align the 5 vehicles and place our focus on the ears. As we continue to struggle with and play with the created self, as we cling onto it, or whatever parts of its construction that we do, we are continually shown by life and the ever-patient real guides the parts of our created personal self that we are choosing to restrict ourselves through. On the real side, then, this will translate as experiences of a personal nature, for what we focus on will be our decision of the placement of our awareness. If we focus on our personal selves, then we experience our personal selves on the real side of life, and on the physical, and continuously, as unconscious, creational future lifetimes, as we continually project the cause and effect mechanics that ensure we don't get beyond our creations. On the real side, too, we will be shown constantly that which we are restricting ourselves by, the various emotional attachments and agreement tap lines. The experiences will be very real, and what we need to know now, but will still be based on the struggle with the personal self, as we continue to cling onto it and the tap lines that make up its created consciousness construction. When the struggle is over, when we are aligned throughout the 5 created bodies with the recognition of the ears, then the real side will reflect our decision, as the intent is always demonstrated on the real side. We will have more expansive real side experiences as we move beyond the personal self and the demonstrations of that which we are deciding in regards to our created selves that are restricting us to a creation, choosing ever more so to focus beyond the personal self and creation, the real awareness now reconnected with and able to get through to the personal self, we will see even more, become even more aware, and be able to read the impressions that are the true reality. Impressions we could not have recognized if we had remained with the personal self and immersed in the struggle with it. and one final scene would follow the dimensional house experience to impress upon me further the attitude's theme, as that which life and the guides were showing me here was very much the reality of a personal self-attitude cause to restricting creational experience effect. I was in a kind of race with multitudes of other individuals. Although a long and arduous marathon of a journey, I was taking it quite literally in my stride. This was the journey to the recognition of the ease, I would surmise. And although we might say how the recognition of the is endless, and why put a time limit on it? Where else are you going or are to be doing with yourself, etc.? It is rather a horse race to glean the recognition before the agreed upon destruction of the planet, the galaxy, and the very simulator, so demonstrated here as a race with other individuals of the same focus and real intent. At one point, everybody would stop, as though to catch their breath, as though to secure a little respite. Everybody was conferring and studying maps, as though one point or stage of the journey was complete, and now another part was opening up and being prepared for an endless series of risk-taking steps to become the true light being of the isness that we are. Having prepared satisfactorily, it was a time to resume, and off everybody would go to proceed with another part of the race against time and the cabal controllers' created ideas of destruction. However, I seemed to be struggling with my attire, as though deliberating over my choice of footwear, then losing my shoes altogether, having to find them, then misplacing my shirt, etc. An individual would be standing there and watching patiently on, but reminding me of how I must get going. This individual was undoubtedly a guide, and it was apparent that what was delaying my journey was my playing with creational ideas that the clothing represented, following the theme of the overall experience, that being of attitudes. Perhaps the demonstration then was of the effect of playing with the attitudes of the personal self, and immersing my awareness within them, placing my focus there instead of the true reality. Life was moving and surging through creation. The new wave is, and it falls upon us to jump aboard the life train as it has left the station, and we need to keep up with life or miss the golden opportunity being provided, as all the others here were in fact doing, racing off to stay with life, as the guide was prompting me to do. Seems I finally resolved my entire issue. I released and let go of the restricting attitudes that was holding up my journey and race to the ease. But alas, everyone had departed, and I was there alone, while busy with my attitude, busy with my clothings. My misaligned focus had resulted in my not paying attention to what was required for the next stage of the journey. That was demonstrated here by my not having a map and not knowing where to go or do next. I would sprint off in the direction of the others, at least where they had roughly headed, regardless, as despite the limiting decisions we can make that delay our progress, at any moment we can decide differently, realign ourselves and our 5 personal self-bodies and continue on. But to bear in mind the time factor also. A small window presents itself, but a fleeting opportunity, and we best not linger too long. Nevertheless, as I considered what to do next, 2 other individuals materialized and had in their possession the maps and materials required that I missed and didn't pay attention to, while busy finding my shoes, struggling with my attitudey personal self, deciding in standing real again then, despite a brief personal self-interjection. Here were the guides again, I would suggest, providing me with the assistance and direction, in keeping with my reaffirmed sincerity and intent for the journey. These 2 guides accompanied me, and we all raced off again on the journey to the recognition of the ease and the becoming of universal positioning, assuming the position of the real beings of light in the real universes that we all is, before time runs out, and we get caught up in the creational simulator agreed upon demise.
Okay, Kevin, that's a terrific explanation of so much, and good for you. Yes, intent is very important. Instead of just looking to the personal self for answers and thinking that because you have the knowledge, which I've produced here, which is actually just a drop compared to the real knowledge, that the individual has to learn to recognize for themselves. And this is where people get lost just in this one dimension here, thinking that, oh, I've read everything Dwayne has written and said, and oh, I've heard it before, and he keeps repeating himself. Well, this is just a drop here. And so again, here you go. And yes, as long as you have that sincere intent, okay, to get through this sincerely and to see and be the risk taker, they will be there with you. And this is so cool, Kevin. Thank you so much. You are the great witness. It's very important.